We are at a very critical time, and it's a time where we need more civility, but it's a time most of all where we need more truth. I want to talk not so much about fake news, which we hear a lot about. In fact, I just saw on social media that one of the Kavanaugh accusers has now admitted that she made the whole thing up. Fake news. What she was trying to do is corroborate Susan Ford's accusation, and she was manufacturing events. She never met Kavanaugh. Fake news. And the reason fake news works is because there's a complicit media to promulgate the accusation and not investigate it. But I want to talk about something deeper, more profoundly disturbing in a university context, which is fake scholarship, fake history, fake narratives. Now, to the ordinary person, this may seem a little bit suspicious. How does a fake narrative get made? Are you alleging some sort of conspiracy, Dinesh? No. But what I am saying is that much of what we consider to be history is progressive history. In other words, it's history with a spin. I'll give a couple of examples of it before jumping to our discussion and questions. When people say things like Trump is a fascist, or fascism is, the conservatives are the party of fascism, that claim relies upon a deeper scholarly claim, which is that fascism is a phenomenon of the right. Fascism is right-wing. Now, I learned that in college. And this notion that fascism is right-wing long predates Trump. It was actually concocted right after World War II. So what I'm trying to get at is this: the progressives who are coming to power in the 50s and 60s in academia and the media and Hollywood, they are the ones who have told us the history that we know. When I speak on campus, I frequently confront students and professors who know things that aren't true. And I think to myself, how do you get to know something that isn't true? Well, here's how that happens. A professor, let's just say at Tulane University, on the left, writes a book, Fascism is on the right. His colleagues, who are like-minded, say, greatest book ever published, settles the debate. Pretty soon, the New York Review of Books writes a review. Brilliant expose, fascism is on the right. NPR interviews the guy. Pretty soon, Michael Moore comes rolling in to do a documentary. And then it's on Wikipedia. So for the ordinary guy now, who wasn't around during fascism, you go, wow, yeah, fascism has to be on the right. Why? Because I was in Barnes & Noble, I thought I saw it over there, I turned on NPR in my car and I heard it, and then I went on the History Channel and boom, there it was, and I type it in Wikipedia, so that's how I know it. Because you have all these corroborating sources. And what the person who says that doesn't realize is that it's the same bullet ricocheting from one wall to another, but because it's coming at you from different directions, you think there's the corroboration. That's why it must be true. It must be true. Now, let's examine this very issue a little bit further to see if it is true. First of all, the reason that fascism got started is because of something called the crisis of Marxism. Marxism predicted in the 19th century that there would be clashes between the proletariat, the working class, and the business class, the bourgeoisie, and you would see communist revolutions breaking out all over Europe. And this did not happen. It's not happened in Europe. It hasn't happened anywhere in the world to this date. So when the 20th century came along, smart people who were in the Marxist camp realized this Marxist prophecy is false. What's wrong with it? Why aren't these revolutions happening? One of those Marxists was Benito Mussolini, the founder of fascism. And Mussolini basically figured out that the reason that Marx's prediction wasn't working is that working people are less attached to their class, the working class, than they are to their country. Mussolini saw in World War I that the French socialists fought for France. and the German socialists fought for Germany, and the British socialists fought for Britain. And so Mussolini realized, I need to reinvent Marxism and socialism. What I need to do is replace class with nationhood, with nationalism. I need to marry nationalism with socialism, and that's where we get National Socialism. So you see ideologically how fascism, National Socialism, came from the left. It came out of the Marxist movement. And in fact, I list this in my book, Death of a Nation, all the leading founders of fascism in 5 countries, from Belgium to France to Britain to Italy to Germany, were without exception men of the left. One of the founders of French socialism was Jean Alemán. He was considered the grand old man of French socialism. Then there was Marcel Dié, who was a lifelong socialist, Jacques Doriot, who was a communist. These are the founders of fascism from the left. Hitler's party, we all know, the National Socialist German Workers' Party. So this is indisputably in the historical record. No one even dreams of refuting it. There it is. But you won't find it in textbooks. You don't find it in the History Channel. And I'm going to get to why. Now, if you watch Death of a Nation, there's a scene in that movie where you see a group of leading Nazis. This is 1935. They're making the Nuremberg laws, which turn Jews into second-class citizens. And they want to segregate Jews into ghettos. They want state-sponsored discrimination, and they want to outlaw intermarriage between Jews and other Germans. And they're sitting around a room, and they have in their hands the Democratic Party laws of the Jim Crow South. And they are using the Democratic Party laws as a model for their laws. Basically, they're crossing out the word black and writing in the word Jew. This fact that the Nazis didn't just develop parallel laws, but they actually got the scheme for the Nuremberg laws from the Democrats. The US Democratic Party, this to my knowledge, has never appeared in any high school or college textbook. It is a fact erased from history. But there it is, incontestable in the historical record. Where did I get it? I got it from the Yale legal scholar James Whitman and his book, Hitler's American Model. Hitler's American Model. Whitman has the transcripts of these meetings. All the top Nazis were there. And the remarkable thing is, as Whitman describes it, he knows that the Nazis got it from the Democrats, but being on the left, he wants to hide that fact. So what does he do? Notice the title of his book. Not Hitler's Democratic Model, which would have been more accurate, but Hitler's American Model. So Whitman decides, why don't I blame it on America? That way it fulfills the left-wing objective of blaming the country and not the actual people who passed those laws. See, here's the thing that Whitman leaves out. Every segregation law in the American South from the 1880s to the 1950s was passed by a Democratic legislature, signed by a Democratic governor, and enforced by Democratic officials. And there is no exception to this rule. So these weren't American laws, they were Democratic laws. So what we have here, and this is what my work has tried to expose, is that progressive history is about covering up the crimes of progressivism and the Democratic Party, hiding them. And that's why, for example, this Nuremberg meeting, you'd think if we're going to learn about fascism, the great crime of the 20th century, you'd know that it had a link to America, a direct link, but that is being hidden. And because it's hidden, that's why Antifa thugs can roam our campuses and cities and think that they're fighting fascism. Even though they dress like brown shirts and black shirts, they carry truncheons, they beat people up, they use fascist tactics, but they can pose as anti-fascists because of the big lie that fascism is on the right. It never was, but the lie was manufactured by very smart people who came to power in academia and the media and Hollywood, and they knew that fascism was on the left. They knew that FDR was an admirer of Mussolini. Mussolini was an admirer of FDR. The Nazi newspapers were praising the New Deal. All facts left out of the record. They knew this. But they said that now that American troops have gone into the concentration camps and found those starving, emaciated figures and pulled them out, now that fascism and Nazism have been exposed to the world as the very epitome of human evil, if the facts get out, we're finished. If the facts get out, the Democratic Party is done. The Democratic Party will have to go the way of the Whigs. So what we have to do now is cover that up. Put it under the carpet. Not lie, just leave it out. Or like Whitman, don't blame the Democratic Party, blame America. So what's going on here is that a big lie, fake scholarship, fake history.
But they can make anything bad because they are the fake, disgusting news.